Did you know in Forrest Gump, the enemy is never actually seen during the ambush in Vietnam? Many combat veterans, especially Vietnam veterans, rate this scene as one of the most accurate combat scenes in movie history. This attack happened very quickly, the enemy cannot be seen, and it was very sudden. Did you know that in Thor, the Infinity Gauntlet later made by Thanos is actually shown in the Asgardian weapon vault, before Thanos was ever chosen to be a villain in the MCU? This inconsistency was fixed in Thor Ragnarok, when Hela comments that the gauntlet in the vault was fake. Did you know in 365 days, several anti-rape organizations, including Pro and Power, have written an open letter requesting Netflix to remove the film from streaming? Netflix released the film worldwide on its platform in June 2020 after it was released on Broadway in Poland. Despite controversy and unfavorable reviews, the movie became an instant hit. Did you know in The Greatest Showman, most of the costumes that were used by the ensemble in the circus scenes in the beginning and end of the film are actually genuine circus costumes? Feld Entertainment let them borrow the costumes, and they're the current owners of Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. The costumes were also used in productions of The Greatest Show on Earth. Did you know in Hocus Pocus 2, there are multiple references to the original Hocus Pocus? When the mayor loses his place in line, there's a couple that's sitting on the bench nearby, and they're dressed as a devil and an old lady with hair rollers. This is a reference to Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall, who played the unsuspecting married couple that hosted the Sanderson sisters for a night. At another point, Winfred peeks through a window and she sees a couple watching TV. They're watching the 1993 film Hocus Pocus, and the actors who are on screen are Penny Marshall and Gary Marshall. Both of them have passed away, and this was their way to honor their memory. Another reference to the original comes when the sisters go to Walgreens to find something to fly on. Sarah and Mary use upgraded versions of the mop and vacuum that they used in the original movie. Did you know in Moon Knight, part of the plot involves a scarab, and this is a direct tie to another character from the comics named the Scarlet Scarab. In the comics, he's a superhero and Egyptian archaeologist who's powered by a ruby scarab. He actually appears in one of the episodes as Abdullah al-Fauli, but in the comics, his real name is Abdul Faul. Did you know in Pearl, the entirety of the film was planned and filmed before and during the filming of X? Ty West and Mia Goth FaceTimed during a 2-week quarantine in New Zealand to collaborate on the script before the filming of X actually took place. They only had high hopes that A24 would agree to make the movie, but Pearl was greenlit before they even began filming X. On top of that, Tandy Wright was actually the intimacy coordinator on X, and she was offered the role of Ruth, Pearl's mother, just before they wrapped up filming on X. Ty West mentioned that she learned German for the role, and she was so convincing in her accent that she fooled 2 other German members of the crew. Did you know in the Northman, Alexander Skarsgård, Klaas Bang were actually supposed to be completely naked in the final duel between Amleth and Fjolnir? Director Robert Eggers thought that it would be the most authentic way to show the duel, but the studio didn't want to allow showing full frontal male nudity due to rating restrictions. This explains why the fight pretty much happens in shadows.